Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in to the PSP Podcast, featuring your friendly host, Percussive 173. Let's freaking go! I downed him! Oh, I got it! 508 meters! I'm pushing everything right now. He gets to Lockman. Dude, this Lockman is so good! Oh my god, I'm disgusting! So what do you think about that play, huh? What were your thoughts?
Not very smart, man. Not very smart, man.
It happens, man. Hey, well, come back. We'll try it again, okay?
Very smart, man.
It happens. Shit. I guess I'm just gonna shit on him. He's dead. Did I just ace? I just ace. Let's go.
Just take a funky jazz with him.
Easy triple. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to have you be a part of the PSP Podcast. And I'm your friendly host, Percussive 173, and let's have a freaking party. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in. My name is Percussive 173, and welcome on into another amazing episode of the PSP Podcast, where Perk spreads positivity. And you guys already know this is the place where we laugh. This is the place where we vibe on out, where we shine and spotlight creators that are just doing their thing, man. And today I've got an incredible guest, the one and only ChefBugGrub. He's an animation artist, a goofy VTuber, and he's the host of the ChefBugGrub Show, and where he brings his energy straight to the mic. We're going to kind of dive on into this journey, not only with him as an artist, but him as a podcaster as well, and how this all ties into the wonderful world of VTubing with creativity and humor that makes him absolutely incredible. And if you guys have not seen one of his works of art, I genuinely think you should. So without further ado, welcome on in, Mr. ChefBugGrub. How we doing today?
How's it going, everybody? How's it doing? Thank you for having me, Mr. Perk. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, what does the PSP stand for? Does that stand for the PlayStation Portable, or is it like when the drum goes psst?
Oh, I mean, it stands for when the drum goes psst, but it also stands for like the Perk Spreads Positivity Podcast, because my goal as a content creator is to spread positivity in any style and any walk of life. So
okay, great.
Yeah.
That's good, man. It's good, man. Well, I appreciate you having me here. I'm excited to be here. Happy to see a bunch of familiar faces here. Yeah, man. So whatever you got for me, lay it on me. I'm ready.
Absolutely. So why don't we start a little bit on like the easy side here? Why don't you guys tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Where did ChefBugGrub come from? A little bit about your roots and what got you into content.
So pretty much, to make a long story short, me and my wife, we went on our honeymoon to Sedona, Arizona. And have you ever gone on, you ever hear of a Vortex tour?
A Vortex tour? No, I've not.
Yeah, so we took a Vortex tour, and there was a guide, and the guide was it was an elderly woman, and she put these crystals into my hand, and she said that take these crystals and smoke this, and she handed me a pipe, and I smoked ayahuasca that evening, I looked up at the stars, and I saw space and time sort of collide. And then there was then I looked at the man in front of me who was also on the Vortex tour. Let me mention the Vortex tour cost $150. And I looked at him, and I saw this man in this blue shirt with his blonde hair, and he became sort of round and bulbous with these slanty eyes. And I said, that's it.
Hold on.
And that's how ChefBugGrub was born.
You said Vortex tour. Hold on. But there's this mouse. He's looking at me. What's up with this mouse?
The mouse?
Yeah, the mouse is looking at me.
He was a side project.
He was a side project. Okay.
Actually, none of that is true. So ChefBugGrub started as a political cartoon series. like around 2020, 2021. I had an Instagram page called ChefBugGrub, where pretty much the character of Chef was he was sort of like the kind of guy that was like in the middle of everything, and he was like too stupid to understand everything. And eventually I got into live streaming, and I thought, I'll incorporate him into live streaming. And that's pretty much it for how his introduction came in. As for the mouse, Mousy McCheese, my co-host, he's on the desk right there. He can't be here for the interview, unfortunately. He started as a sort of on the drive home from work idea. I was thinking of a way to go viral on TikTok, and I came up with the idea of Mousy McCheese and like a little cartoon Pepe Mouse that would do cheese facts, and
that's awesome.
That's what happened. And he actually does have a TikTok. It's called the Stinky Mouse, and he posts cheese facts. So there's somehow the lore has kind of built into the real world, and now it's like this whole big thing, man.
I'm gonna 100% have to go follow that, because it's like, I mean, me being Italian, I love cheese. I mean, you can tell. I mean, with my weight here, like, bring me that dairy. I'm gonna have to learn a little bit more.
I'm from New Jersey, so I'm pretty much Italian too.
Oh,
I
nice.
respect you.
Nice.
I get it.
Us Italians, man, we got to stick together. Listen, our big shoulders.
For lore purposes, Chef Bugrub is Italian.
Oh,
so.
He is Italian.
Yeah, he's Italian. He's a blonde-haired, blue-shirted Italian.
WW. So this is a really cool, really interesting style of like VTubing that not a whole lot of people really like know about, and like the stuff that you're kind of like putting together from an animation perspective and from a VTubing perspective is really incredible. So you want to talk a little bit about like kind of what you're doing from a tech side of things, and like you can go as in depth or like not in depth as you want, but
well, do you want me to go into the tech first, or do you want me to kind of present the idea of how I kind of came to this conclusion of everything?
Well, let's start with the idea, and then maybe we'll go into a little bit of tech.
I think the idea is more important than the tech.
Sure.
So for a long time, I was streaming under the name Golden Boy Brian. I was somebody that was using a camera, and I would have a PNG tuber of Chef Bugrub, so a 2D version of this guy that you see before you. And, I would switch back and forth if I didn't want to use the camera and stuff. And, I eventually reached a point to where my YouTube got banned for like 24 hours, like permanently deleted for 24 hours, because I posted a video of me playing Metal Gear Solid 4. And there was a scene in it where it got like not copyright struck, but like sexual suggestive thing. And it really wasn't. It was really stupid. But it got me thinking, like, maybe it's time for me to rebrand completely, because I wanted to do it anyways. And I was like, well, I was just going to make a new channel if I never got that channel back. Luckily, I did. And so the premise going into it was I kind of always incorporated like cartoon drawing and things like that. I'm a digital artist. I do, I do a lot of like PNG tuber drawings and things like that for people and emotes. But I've always had this like passion for creating characters and stories. So I thought like, I said to myself, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to create my own world. I'm going to create my own show. I'm going to create like an atmosphere that is different than everything else on the internet, because I think a lot of streamers nowadays, they they just like go live, they play games, and that's it. They may be funny, they may not be funny, but I thought like, I have this platform where I can make anything I want, so why not make something that like I've always wanted to make? And since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be a cartoonist, but I never had the technical skills to like really do that. So my show is like very jank. It's very rough animation. It's very like put together with like duct tape and a hope and a dream. But I think a lot of people like really appreciate that about it, because like I'm not trying to like be something I'm not with it. And I just wanted to create my own little cartoon world and do something different that a lot of people don't see. And I think with VTubing specifically, for me personally, I'm not a fan of like anime. Like I personally like don't like anime. I know that bothers a lot of people when I say that. I'm like an avid anime hater. If it disappeared tomorrow, I'd be totally fine with that. But I wanted to create a world where people like me could come and enjoy it. People who aren't necessarily like watching the VTubers for the big baboingas and all of that. Do you want to see my baboingas? I can show you them real quick.
Yeah. Let's see your
I'll show you my
baboingas.
baboingas. So the people that aren't watching for the baboingas, you know what I mean? They watch because they like enjoy the content and things like that. So that's where that kind of idea came out of. I wanted to be like a I wanted to be like the Family Guy of like VTubing in a sense.
That's awesome. And like that's genuinely like cool. Also nice bazoingas. But
Thank you.
But like that's genuinely like really awesome. And like you say that it's not well put together. And like from what I've seen, you may think that, but it is extremely well put together. Like
I appreciate that, man.
Literally one of my like coworkers who's an artist, we were actually talking about you about your style of content, and we were like, dude, it's like ridiculously good because it's goofy, it's funny, it's engaging. I mean, like you say it yourself, and you have the #1 most interactive podcast, and it's pretty awesome to watch. Like if you cartoon experience, in the blanket terms, but sometimes it's a podcast, sometimes it's a talk show. It depends on the day. You know what I mean? Right. And because you're more than just a podcaster, you are genuinely like you have this whole thing that you created, and it's really freaking cool. And like it's really interesting behind the scenes and some of the stuff that you have. Also, thank you so much for the gifted sub. I appreciate you, Ooze.
Watch out for that guy. He's a troublemaker.
Troublemaker. Nice.
He's buttering you up. He's buttering you up right now to knock you down.
He's oozing me up a little bit.
Yeah, he's oozing you up to knock you down.
But it's genuinely cool to see like somebody that has that mentality create something as good as what you have. And like you think it's not well put together, you say that, but it's really well put together in a different style, if that makes sense.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I can only see the show from my perspective. You know what I mean? And I think like as somebody who's been like, you're a musician, I'm a musician. I don't know if you've spent a lot of time like writing music, but like
I do.
You know, it's kind of like the artist struggle. You know, like you see what you create and you're like, oh, it's not that good. It could be better. You know what I mean? But then, you know, a lot of people, they tell me, they're like, oh, this is like so dope. This is sick. And I genuinely like appreciate anybody that says things like that to me. But, you know, it's really easy to get into your head with this. I think with VTubing specifically, also, I don't consider myself a VTuber. I consider myself a VTuner.
VTuner.
That's
okay.
the motto that we go by. We don't conscribe to the VTube genre because I feel like I'm somebody that's not really VTubey enough for the VTubers.
Sure.
You know, I think of my show more as a cartoon than a VTuber show.
That's an awesome mentality to have too, because like,
thank you. Yeah.
So many people are like, oh, so we're gonna put you in the VTuber like channel, but VTune, like you're making a cartoon. That's pretty dope.
Well, the thing that I've noticed a lot about VTubers is a lot of them, they have all the elements, right? Like they got a good model, they got lore, they got all of this, but I never see the lore take place on the stream. I never see the story kind of unfold unless it's somebody that's like big and they have like a whole agency behind them and things like that. So that's one of the things, that's one of the reasons I wanted to really go into VTubing specifically, was because I actually wanted like my streaming journey and my accomplishments to be harder for me, because it's a lot harder being a VTuber. It's easy being a guy in front of a camera and being funny and interacting with people and things like that, you know, but like you don't realize like how hard it then becomes to when you can't, you know, take 5 gifted subs and shotgun a beer, because like, how am I going to do that as a VTuber? You know what I mean? there's a lot of layers and nuance that like comes into VTubing that you don't realize right away. But if you get committed to it, it kind of forces you to be creative, especially if you want to grow with it, I think.
And it's awesome to think about it kind of like that too, because like when you have like somebody who's in front of the camera, you can, people who like have the camera in front of them, we can communicate with our eyes. We can communicate even without saying things. We can communicate with our like movements and emotions. It's really difficult to do that. And from a VTuber perspective, you have to be engaging in a different way. And like as newer creators, as this podcast is geared towards creators who may not know what direction they want to go in yet. Cause like my advice for new creators is to have fun and just do what you want to do. Cause there's a million different styles of content out there and just do the one that kind of fits with you. But like to see kind of like how you can interact and create engagement in a completely different level. Like it's a completely different tier from some of the other people that I kind of watch. It's really cool to see, man. Like for real.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah. I, you know, and I kind of thought like, you know, the using the VTuber I thought was a better branding move too than just using my face, because it's like it's not like I'm I'm not a good looking guy, like, you know, I think I'm like a pretty good looking guy, but like I'm a pretty like average looking guy, you know what I mean? So it's like why not use something that's a little bit more memorable? Like, you know, you see this face, like it's something that you kind of remember, and the whole model, the whole kind of vibe of it. It's a little bit more unforgettable, I think.
Oh, so definitely.
That was one of the reasons I switched.
Honestly, like in the style of animation that you use, like it's definitely an unforgettable situation. Like people don't forget me because I'm a fat, goofy 30-year-old, and how many fat, goofy 30-year-olds want to put themselves in front of a camera? Like, well,
I'm 30. I'm also 30, so I feel you on that, dude. I'm trying to work on my weight loss. You know what I mean? Dude, I wouldn't say I'm fat, but
I am. I own it. 340, but I'm doing everything that I can to try and lose weight. I actually had T Captain X join my podcast, and I've been working on his 9-month challenge. Been doing really well. I've already lost 20 pounds. Yeah. So I want to continue that trend, and like I want to continue trying to get to my goal of 280, so I can go back on the Top Thrill Dragster one more time. You know?
Yeah. Hey, I'm praying for you, bro. I hope it works out. Stay consistent with it. You know, it's not easy. I've gone through a lot of weight loss journeys through my life. I only weigh like 220, but like,
wait, I thought the animation was like 5 pounds.
Yeah, the camera adds 10 pounds to me.
Adds 10 pounds.
I know I'm looking a little big right now, but it's all right. You know, I've gone through a lot of weight loss transitions through my life, and the one thing I've learned is it's just being consistent and dedicated.
Absolutely. It definitely is a journey, just like the world of content. And when you look at the world of content, especially like because we want to have new creators look at this and be like, yo, I want to maybe take a piece apart of what Perk is doing, or a piece apart of what Jefferson here is doing, and like kind of put everything like kind of make something of their own. What suggestions do you have for those newer creators that are looking to get into content in some way, shape, or form?
The one thing I always tell everybody is be unique, be creative, and be yourself. You can't expect to grow just being subpar. I think in today's day and age, you have to be extremely genuine with who you are, and I think that means not succumbing to what what people want you to be. I think that means you have to be you. You know what I mean? Especially into like today's climate, like you can't just like toe the line. You have to like really be the person that you want to be. If you don't, then you're lying to yourself. You're lying to the people that are supporting you. Being creative, I think you have to push the limits on what you can do on your stream. You can't just go live. You can't just game. You have to create something that is you have to bring people on an adventure. You have to bring people give them education. You have to bring them humor. You have to give them something to keep them tuning in. And I think live streaming in itself is such a, specifically live streaming. Maybe it's not the case with the other platforms, but live streaming is such a unique thing because it requires people to tune in live. It's a hard thing. It's a really hard thing to get people to watch you doing your things. No matter how good your content is, it's hard to get people to watch you.
I definitely agree. It's like in the world of content, it's really interesting because we have these platforms like Kick, like Twitch, like YouTube, and exposure is so difficult. Like it's so hard to be able to find those areas that are going to be able to put yourself out there. My advice to creators is to post everywhere. Post on platforms that you didn't even think would be platforms. For example, Snapchat Spotlight. I have had more followers come from Snapchat Spotlight than I have from TikTok. My TikTok gets suppressed to 100 views. Okay, cool. I'm going to post on YouTube too. That gets capped at like 2,000, 3,000 views a short. Okay, cool. So I'm going to also post to Snapchat. I'm going to also post to Instagram. I'm going to also post to Facebook. Like in the biggest thing that I see with like creators and like to be able to build that exposure is to post everywhere. Like post before you hit the live button, because that content is what's going to get people to see like little bits and pieces of you. And then it's going to also pull that together and pull them into your stream.
The big thing I've noticed too is like, you know, the videos that you get from your streams, right?
Yes.
I worked with a guy right before I kind of really booted up the ChefBugGrub Show. I was working with a guy for a little bit who's like a stream producer, and he gave me some like really solid advice. And he said that like your content that you're putting out, like say you got a sick clip from Twitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that may be a good Twitch clip, you know what I mean? But that might not be a good video for TikTok. You know, that may not be a good video for YouTube. That may not be a good video for Instagram. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of make tailor-made content for those specific platforms.
And that's a very good point. The platform algorithms push people in different ways. While Instagram focuses on photos and music, and they also have their Reels section that's tied into Facebook. So it's when you look at Meta versus when you look at TikTok versus when you look at YouTube, there's different styles of algorithms. There's different styles of content that they're looking for. TikTok is looking for more like IRL, real life type stuff, communication type stuff, like lip syncing videos and dancing type stuff. And they're really grinding back away from the whole gaming front and going back to that. YouTube is more on the gaming front, and and you have the YouTube algorithm is kind of like post a million shorts that lead to your long form that lead to your stream. It's like a trickle up effect. And then you have your Snapchat algorithm, which is like post whatever the hell you want, and as long as you post consistently, it's gonna throw itself everywhere.
Yeah, I've never tried Snapchat. Maybe I should look into that.
Dude, it's really, really an incredible platform. I'll talk about Snapchat literally all day with what they do, because I've had more followers from Snapchat than I had on any other platform. I think you take my highest platform following, which I think is TikTok, double that. That's what my Snapchat is now.
You're not the first person to tell me that TikTok, Snapchat has like a good algorithm when it comes to like pushing your videos and things like that.
It's taken over TikTok because TikTok really wants the IRL style of content that's going to just put a smile on people's face. Like they're really, with their recent update that was pushed on the 13th, steering away from any like political style stuff. Yeah. So they're really gearing towards like, how can you lip sync?
I'll tell you this too. What I've learned on TikTok, going full VTuber, is TikTok absolutely hates VTubers, man. They despise them. And I think it's because their Chinese software can't detect my face. That they just sense. don't want to push me on their For You page or the algorithm or this and that. I don't know what it is. Because I've had some streams like pop off like entirely, and then other streams they don't. So I don't know what it is about TikTok that people talk about. And same with YouTube Shorts live. I don't know what they want. I don't know what they want in a YouTube Shorts live.
I haven't really focused on the new YouTube stuff yet, and it's really cool to think about. But like understanding the different styles of algorithm is so important as a creator, because like the way I talk about things is like post first, then go live after you have consistent content.
Yeah.
And once you do that and you have people consistently coming back to your videos, like the biggest mistake that I see creators make is they're like, oh my God, my view got 150,000. Why did this one not? So don't think like that. You want to look at the analytics on like YouTube statistics of like, when did they leave your video? Did they leave after the first second? Was your hook not good enough? Did they leave after 15 seconds? Like, did you lose them in transition? Like, that's the metrics that creators should be paying attention to, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I think, and like specifically with like VTubing, I think it's, I think all of that is like kind of like the difficulty level is like bumped up to like expert, you know what I mean? Because you kind of need to like, it's like I my one buddy, I talk to him a lot. He's, you know, he uses a camera and stuff, and he's like a newer creator. Slim Chungus Gaming, shouts out to him. He's a good dude. He you know, he films like his videos at work and this and that, and like all I can do at work is like kind of look through my stream and find something to like edit down, maybe on CapCut. Like I can't do the same thing that he wants to do. So if I want to make something that is like unique and like sort of a scripted video, like I gotta set the time aside, I gotta record that, I gotta like do it, you know, I gotta make it so it's green screen, I gotta put it, and then I gotta transfer it from the streaming PC over to the gaming PC where I do my editing and stuff. It's a whole process, you know, so it's a little bit more difficult. So I think the thing with VTubing that a lot of people get wrong too, and if I'm going to say that this is the most important thing when it comes to VTubing, this might be like, if you're going to make a clip, this will be the most important thing. People get VTubing like completely wrong, man. They think that like, oh, I'm a VTuber. That's my content. I'm a VTuber. Being the VTuber is not your content, man. Okay. You need to get that through your head. Being a VTuber is not your content. You are the content. All right. And you're supplying the content. The VTuber is just the vehicle that you're using to sort of get ahead. You know what I mean? You're using that as your avatar. You're using that to tell the story. You're using that to push forward. And I think the more VTubers kind of learn to understand that, the better their content is going to be. Because I've seen too many people where they just like, you know, they're just like, I'm a VTuber. I'm a VTuber. Oh, I'm a VTuber. Like, dude, I don't care that you're a VTuber, man. Like, entertain me because you're a VTuber, you know? So that was one of the main things that I wanted to push with this endeavor that I went through.
And it's a huge point because like you want to make like the whole point of being a content creator is creating the content that's going to be consumable. There's a million different styles of content. And I'll tell you what, one of my best videos ever was literally me staring into a camera, getting closer every minute to Bohemian Rhapsody. It was one of the best. It was one of the best videos that ever got pushed for me. And all I did, like to Bohemian Rhapsody, is just zoom in closer to my eye. That's all I did. And like, there's different styles of content, different ways to consume everything, and like, you just have to find what really works for you. And for me, when it comes to newer creators, like I see too many failed mentality posts. Like I see people posting on Twitter like, I'm a small streamer, right? First off, stop saying small streamer. Stop it. You're already putting yourself in a defeatist mindset. Start looking at yourself in a more positive light with a more positive mentality, and it's going to help you grow. If I wanted to grow, I'd post more consistently and then I would grow, but my goal isn't to grow. I'm very unique in the streaming world where my goal isn't to grow super high. I just want to make people smile and make people laugh every day. That's my goal. And as long as I do that to at least one person, and then my life is happy.
So I understand exactly what you're saying. Mm-hmm. But personally, I would disagree. I think that it's important to recognize that you are nobody. I think it's like super important to recognize that like people like you're nobody in this sea of everybody, right? And you need to like push yourself, because if you're just like, I think like, I don't know, man. Like I think positivity is a crutch to kind of deter people from pushing themselves forward. Like, I think that you need to give yourself every single bit of what you have into what it is to like push through. And I don't mean like, I'm not trying to like insult like the positivity thing that you're trying to do. I think that there's a very important place for that. But I think for me personally, I think that if you're not like fighting this like it's a war and you're like, I'm a small streamer and I'm trying to conquer the hill and take over the emperor, then like you're never going to get to where you want to be. And I think it's very important too, before like that's taken out of context, to like say like you need to determine what that is that you want to do, right? So like my goal is never to be like a famous person or anything like that. My goal is to just support my family, have fun, have a creative endeavor. You know what I mean? Ultimately, I'd like to do this full time to where I can support my family full time doing this. But if it never happens, it never happens. But I'm not going to go down saying like, you know, without fighting for it. You know what I mean?
And that's W advice, honestly. Like you're right. But I think ultimately what you and I are saying in two different sides of the spectrum here is exactly the same thing. I'm the kind of person like this. If you tell me that my shit's bad and like I'm gonna try to fix it, right? For sure.
Where then there's people that are like, well, this guy said that my shit's bad. Well, I think it's okay. And I'm not that person. I'm not that person that's just gonna be like, accept it. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong that I can make my shit better. And my I'm sorry, am I not allowed to curse on this?
No, you can curse. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
So, you know, like I'm not going to be the person, like I'm not going to, I want to prove people wrong. And that's kind of always been my goal with this live streaming stuff, is to like not only prove my haters wrong per se, but to prove my past self. Like when I was 16, man, I wanted to be a streamer. I'm 30 now. I wanted to be a streamer. I was like streaming. I was playing PUBG and stuff like that. I always wanted to do it. Was never able to really do it because of living with my parents and being loud and stuff. And now that I live on my own, you know, I want to prove to like, now it's more of a personal mission where like, I want to put my all into this and give it everything. And, you know, more for my daughter than for me, because like, I want her to know that like I gave every single bit of myself to something creative and to pushing myself and in hopes that it became something, you know what I mean? And hopefully that instills something in her.
That's definitely admirable. And like admirable, and like it's really cool to have that mentality. So I guess like going back to like the previous point where I was talking about like both sides of that spectrum, everyone does have different goals. You want to go out there and you want to kind of stick it to them. You want to let yourself be known and like show people, you know what, I'm Jefferson, I'm the shit, this is why I'm the shit. And like I do the same thing, but I just take a different route. It's kind of like we're both going the same way, but I'm just going around the other way, and you're going around that way. But we still have the same mentality, which I think is really cool, because our goals kind of align. And in like talking with you, I'm kind of seeing that. But it's like there's a positivity route, and then there's also a go-getter route. And like you'll hear me say a million times over if you ever listen to my podcast, 95% of streaming is introspective work. You got to look back at yourself, watch your shit, and figure out how you can grow in every step of the way. Like, for example, if I lose viewers at 9 minutes and 47 seconds, why? And what can I do to change that? And what did I do? Was it an emotion? Was it a thing I said? It's like you have to look back at yourself and watch your own content more than somebody else watches your content. And at the same point, you want to try to find those steps to make yourself better. And that's a huge key.
The one thing I kind of want to touch on before we like maybe change the subject or move on.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it's like people people might take like what I'm saying as like maybe I have like a big ego or something. I want to let everybody know that like that's not the case at all. I think that anybody can do what I do personally. I think it just requires a bit of self determination and things like that, and just kind of pushing yourself creatively. I think what I do isn't really anything impressive in terms of the technical side, and maybe we could talk about the technical side, but like what I do is honestly very easy and anybody could do it. It's just a matter of like, I have no problem talking about like how my stuff works, because I think that no matter what, even if people learn how to do the show exactly how I do the show, then they still won't be able to do the show like me, because I'm my own person, and everybody's their own person, and they have their own. Everybody has their own way of entertainment and gathering a community, which then that's one of the things I really do appreciate about live streaming.
I couldn't agree more with you, man. Like everybody's got a different way of bringing communities in engaging with their community. For example, me, it's Call of Duty. But then again, it's also me in like this podcast, but it's a different style of engagement. And like, yeah, I was gonna say Ty Daddy Dangles. That made me laugh in the middle of what you were saying. It's like, God damn it.
That's one of my mods.
That's awesome.
He's one of my. He's actually that's actually my best friend right there.
Oh hell yeah.
Real life best friend. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, oh, go ahead.
He's I just want to say he's one person that is constantly in my corner, and I really appreciate that. He's always texting me and talking to me about the show, and not really any of my friends actually do that, and he's one person that really supports the show and does all of that. So I really appreciate it.
And that's always great to have those type of people in your corner. And like another huge aspect that comes from streaming over time, like the more you grow, the more you branch yourself out, and the more you network, you're gonna find more of those people to get in your corner. And that's you have to like find those people, hold on to those people, and like love those people. That's my opinion. But like it's so important to have that type of stuff. So we want to kind of change the gear over to tech, right? So me being a tech nerd, I run a 3 PC setup, right? If I could go into like the total organizational overhaul of that, but it's not really important. So in order to run a dual PC setup, or just like even a single PC setup, you gotta be able to do your own research as to what software is going to work for what you're doing. So for example, the software that I'm going to use is not going to be the same software that he's over there, that Chef's going to use. Like I use Meld Studio. I also use OBS, but I also use them both at the same time. But today I'm using OBS because that's just how I have my podcast set up. And like the different styles of software that you use based on what you're trying to accomplish is what you need to research. And one thing that I love talking about in the streaming world is nothing in the streaming world is ever written out.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to write it out yourself. If it was, then everybody would be doing the same thing. You can find YouTube videos on how to set up OBS, but you're not going to use the same OBS the same way. So what do you do that makes your tech stand out?
So my show is an amalgamation of a lot of different things. So pretty much, if I zoom out, is that going to be all right? Are we going to see it all?
Oh, go for it. Yeah. No, you're full screen.
So my show is a mixture of a lot of different things. So I build all my scenes in OBS. So backgrounds first off, I make in I use Filmora for all my editing. Personally, it's just an easy program, lets me do a lot of the stuff that I want to do. And then everything else is just individual props, right? So the like the desk is an individual prop, you know what I mean? The like the show there, these are all individual things that I've kind of set up here. The phone is an individual thing. The couch is an individual thing. So I've built my whole scene into OBS first of all, and then let me see if this is working here. So same deal. So we'll start with the easy stuff first. So we'll go to Mousy McCheese. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's me, Mousy McCheese. So the way that I work is I use I work in a program called VTuber Mini, and I'm just a PNG tuber that has a mouth open and a mouth closed, and that's pretty much it. And pretty much all of the characters that talk on the show work that way. Oh shit, wrong scene. I'm sorry.
Jefferson through the times.
Oh, wrong scene. Hold on. Where are we going? All right, we're in the hot tub. We're in a hot tub. That's fine. All right, this is my podcast. ChefBugGrub hot tub scene.
The hot tub scene. W.
All right, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Sorry, I'm
gonna have to switch the thing to hot tubs and bikinis. You know.
Yeah, I don't know why my hot tub was like that, but so I use VTuber Mini for pretty much a lot of the stuff. The podcast here. Hold on. Let me see. Let me make sure this works. Yep, there's Jefferson through the times. Okay, so I know his head's really big, right? So it's all a background kind of thing. Everything behind me is a background. So Ivan specifically is a program that works off of Twitch chat. A lot of people are like, how does Ivan work? Ivan works off Twitch chat. He is a program called VTS Pog. He's a VTuber pet program. So pretty much he works on as a command on Twitch chat. I'm trying to get the developer to get him to work on Kick. He's kind of kicking his feet on that one. And then the VTuber, then the people I'm interviewing. So we have Mousy here. He's huge, but we'll pull up like Annie Oakley here. Right. So Annie Oakley is a VTuber Mini person. So this is how I kind of go back and forth. You'll never see ChefBugGrub and the the flat cartoon character talking on the same scene. The reason for that is because it's I can't separate the audio personally. But I'm sure there's a way I could do that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that works with those characters.
A lot of people who go into these types of things, a lot of people also, we're going to talk to Mousy here for a second, but
you want to talk to Mousy?
Well, no, we can talk to you too.
But, hey, how's it going? It's good to see you, Progressive. I'm so happy I'm so happy that you invited me in for a podcast.
Is this your first podcast, Mousy?
Behind the host. No, it's not my first. I've been on Joe Rogan a couple of times and Tim Dillon a couple of other times. We talked about the sacrificing of people and things like that. But it's been pretty good. I'm happy to be here to talk about tech. Nice change of pace.
Yeah, it's really cool to talk about tech, and like you're talking to an audio nerd in regards to separating different styles of audio. So when I run my tech, I have one of the most advanced audio conglomerations that you'll ever see, all going through this wavelength microphone here. And when I do Call of Duty,
Whoa.
I actually separate my microphone. I use a little headset so I can talk in game, but that's because I run a dual PC setup and I don't feel like feeding my stuff through an XLR cable to go through two things here. So I actually transmit my audio over via NDI from my PC, my streaming PC, over to my gaming PC. I keep my main microphone, the one that has all the VST plugins, to my gaming PC. And when I say VST plugins, for example, let me take off this filter for a second. And now you guys can all hear my fan. You can hear how terrible I sound.
Whoa, yeah, I hear it.
So
I understand all that. I got a lot of buttons over here too. I got like a bunch of knobs and things. I press them from time to time. So I'm a bit of an audio savant myself.
Yeah, I think you and I were. Well, I don't think you and I were talking. You know, Chef and I were talking a little bit about how him being an audio savant.
He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything about anything. He's sort of washed up when it comes to this stuff. I'm sort of the brains of the operation.
You know, and like with me, like especially like with spooky season coming up,
sometimes I turn into a demon because I just can, and people love that.
And like,
oh yeah, I can do that too. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm
spooky.
Pulling out the different SFX and the different
knobs is just a really interesting thing to mess around with. In like,
Oh yeah.
whether it be putting a limiter inside of OBS, using gain control inside of like your OBS mic filter, and or using Elgato Wavelink, which I absolutely love Elgato Wavelink in the stuff that they have.
You're boring me. I'm gonna let Chef continue the interview. Bye.
All right, I feel you there. But even like
I'm sorry about that, man. He's kind of a piece of shit.
he's a goofy dude, but like having the ability to take control over different aspects of audio and separation of audio is very difficult. A program that I use to separate audio is Wavecast. And it's an Elgato product because I have an Elgato setup, and I can use it to separate myself to come in through a left-hand side or a right-hand side if I so choose. I can also use it to distribute from computer 1 to computer 2 to computer 3, so I can engage my peripherals from computer 3 onto my streaming PC as well. And I'm learning all of this stuff because I love the production aspect of content creation from a background perspective. And production is such an underrated topic in content because you have to have a solid production or else people are they're gonna run. And like,
I think it's funny that you're like talking about production, but like honestly, I think in terms of like production and like in the box kind of things that I have going on, I think my production has actually gone downhill since I've become a VTuber and all of that, in terms of like, I don't have like cool transitions and stuff. I used to have cool transitions. I went to straight cutaways because now I'm like switching scenes back and forth and things like that.
Oh, you mean like different stinger transitions?
The production, it more, I had like stingers, but
Okay.
the production more is now based on myself, rather than the things that I can sort of put together. You know what I mean?
And for those of you guys, we talk about the term stinger. For those of you guys that don't know what a stinger is like, for example, when I switch scenes, I'm going to throw this stinger on. And I go to like the alone scene, it's going to be a scene change thing that will fill up the entirety of the screen as you're transitioning through specific scenes. I choose for the podcast to just use a straight fade because it's a more organic style and it doesn't have video in the background. It's going to go over the stream as well.
Yeah.
But that's what a stinger is.
So just to cover the rest of the VTubing stuff of what I use. So I use a program called Warudo, which controls Chef, the 3D version. So Warudo allows me to like have a lot of different pre-made animations and things like that I use. And I use a camera to kind of capture my head too. He's a little janky sometimes when it comes to certain animations because he's not made like a regular VTuber. Because of his proportions, he's a little different. And I want to give a big shout out to Big Hugs, man. Big Hugs has been the kind of, he's a good friend of mine, first of all. Second of all, he's been kind of the guy that has made this show into what it is. He's the one who created ChefBugGrub into 3D. So this is a fully 3D model, meaning I could like spin around and stuff. Can I show you that? Yeah, I can show you that.
You can.
So like I can spin around and things like that. He's created things for the stream, like my glasses that I put on, and I have like some other stuff for the upcoming pitch kick that I'm doing. Like a beret and a mustache. He's like, I work with him and he creates stuff for me for the 3D and things like that. So he's been huge with working with me on this, and I really appreciate it because he didn't have to do this. He's never done this before. Like he's a 3D artist at heart. He does fantastic 3D art. This is very like, in my opinion, like lowbrow for him to do, but it was a different thing for him to do, to learn how to like make a VTuber, how to give him physics and all of that. So it's been a mutual like thing, like where it's benefited both of us because he's created ChefBugGrub in the 3D, and we've been like slowly tweaking him over the months and adding things and taking things out, like all the expressions and things. So these are all everything with Chef is controlled via a Stream Deck. So I have a XL Stream Deck that I have buttons pre-programmed through with Warudo that I can do all of this stuff on, especially all the face stuff. And then I also have a foot switch that is just like quick reactions. You know what I mean? Like for like 3 different faces that I just use if I'm talking. You know what I mean? I'm playing a game and I want to just be like, oh, I want to be like, I get scared in the game and I'm like, oh, you know what I mean?
That's awesome. My foot pedal's used for muting and unmuting, whether it be in game or in Discord.
Just to explain my physical setup of what I have, so I have a SM7B that's going into a Go XLR, and that's running into my gaming PC. I use 2 PCs for my stream, and then so all of my music, all my sound alerts, everything runs through the Go XLR, and I can monitor it that way. I monitor my microphone so I can always hear myself. I know me and you were kind of talking about this beforehand, but I think monitoring your microphone is a very important thing because you need to, I think listening to yourself and understanding how you sound is very important. And when it comes time for like things like voice acting and like playing a character, like you got to really be able to get in there and understand what you're saying, you know what I mean? Like how you're sounding and things like that. So hearing yourself, I think, is important. So then the out of my Go XLR goes into a separate interface that captures everything out of that Go XLR into OBS onto the stream. And then I have a XLR splitter that is splitting my XLR microphone to a separate audio interface that is just running my VTuber lip syncing. So that's how my voice is captured in the VTuber program. I have a separate audio interface for that.
So you're doing a lot from an input perspective.
And then I have a camera that also tracks me. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Is it what style of camera do you use?
So I was actually chosen for Kick Picks like week 27, I think, and I got a free OBS Tiny 2. So
nice.
I use that for the tracking.
I'm definitely deep into the Elgato family. I have an Elgato face cam. The previous version, I want to upgrade eventually to get the 4K because I like recording in 4K. But
yeah,
the Elgato face cam, I think I look nice. I mean, I think I do. But it's really interesting to see like the different types of technology that people use. The majority of my stuff that's going to be very difficult, it's going to be impossible to show right now, is done through the back end through different OBS settings, as you kind of saw when I was showing a little bit and getting everything set up. Like I'll do embedded scenes inside of scenes, and it's a way that I found out for stability to be a really cool thing. So let's say like I make a mistake and I move you, I could switch back to that secondary scene too, so I don't actually lose production, which I've actually done twice now, being stupid, but you guys didn't see that. It actually looks flawless and smooth. So it's really interesting to kind of like put that together also through utilizing studio mode inside of OBS, so you can readjust scenes as needed and pop right back out to make them utilizing your Stream Deck. So I also have a Stream Deck XL where I have 3 different scenes for 3 different things. Like when I do casting style of stuff, I have a whole page dedicated for casting. Casting is different than podcasting. What it is you're doing a production standpoint for like in-game stuff. I have a whole thing dedicated for meld. I also have a whole thing dedicated for OBS. So a lot of my settings are real advanced in that, and I don't expect anyone to create that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I have like things too that, so I will so I'm an amateur cartoon artist, I would say. I can make very rough animations. I can make stuff kind of work, right? So I have things that like I have, like I showed you before, like I have the worms guy. It's kind of messed up when you're zoomed in like this, but
here, I'll do this.
You know what I mean? Like the like these are buttons on my Stream Deck that are redeems on the stream that I can kind of use. You know what I mean? I have the question of the day, things like that. So these are all just like buttons. These are actually scenes that are they have green backgrounds, and I just chroma key them out so they can just show up like in the scene.
Oh, so you're doing that via standard video sources then, which I think that's really cool.
Yeah, they're all standard video sources, things like that, Fire Effect, all standard videos. You can kind of see the green around it when you look at it.
But that's what I like about OBS's chroma key. It really cuts a lot of it out. You have to like look real heavy in depth to be able to really see that.
So those are all kind of things that I add to kind of make the show like the interactive cartoon experience, if you will. You know what I mean? It's all of like how you can interact with the show, and I'm constantly trying to like add things. Like I have like a fourth wall break. You know what I mean? It was a Minecraft breaking. So if we got to break the fourth wall for some reason and talk about something, and what else do I have? The smoke bomb is a huge one. So everyone likes the flashbang. You know?
Oh, that's awesome.
So I have that, and then it like kind of statics out all that. Actual smoke. I use this a lot for like transitions, because sometimes when, say, I'm in a scene, right? So let me show you for like specifics, right? Mm-hmm. So when I'm starting the thing, right? Like say I'm doing this show. This was my last pitch kick. This was Jefferson Through the Times, an interactive cartoon podcast where we interviewed people throughout time and history. So like if we were to go into the Sty Guy scene, right? So this is the Sty Guy scene, and I wanted to come back and I wanted to say I wanted to get the VTuber up, right? If I hit him up, there's a chance that they might not. You see how he just changed like that?
Yeah.
So there's a chance that it might not show up properly, right? So what I would do is I would like hit the smoke, and then that would kind of work as like a little buffer for me to like make sure the transition is good.
And that's awesome. It's like an internalized stinger transition.
Yeah,
so, and
it's
pretty much really cool.
It's more of for me to make things a little bit more seamless.
Right. And that's honestly really cool. So we've talked a lot about the tech. We've talked a lot about streaming and content and like the passion that we have surrounding it. So what do you think as a new streamer, what should be their number one focus before, or like either before hitting the go live button or after hitting it a couple times? What should they focus on?
I think when it comes to being a new streamer, I think one of the most important things is like developing a brand, developing an image, developing all of that stuff. I think it's hard to like pinpoint that like after the first couple of times. Like for me, it took like a year and a half to like figure out how I wanted to do. Like I've done a rebrand, you know what I mean? I used to be like a regular guy and things, and I wanted to take the show in a different direction. So you might not figure out everything in like one go. But the biggest thing I would say is like learn how to kind of clip farm, learn how to create clips, learn how to edit those clips down into digestible formats that are good for like TikTok. Watch a lot of things with intent, I think is very important. Watching like TikToks with intent, Instagram Reels.
Wait, we're watching TikToks intents?
No, like with intent, meaning like you're watching them to like learn like why is this video popular? Why do people like this?
Sorry, I had to throw the dad joke in there.
Yeah, of course. I think the biggest thing too, that a big thing that people talk about is they go, oh, make clips, funnel the people from your clips to your lives. I don't necessarily think that works all the time. From what I've understood when it comes to people enjoying content and working on like joining your content, because like it's one thing to engage on a short video. It's another thing to like engage with you live, talking to you as a person. I think a big thing is like figuring out the funnel that works for you. Because it's not always a funnel of like, oh, make YouTube videos and then people will come watch you live on Kick or Twitch. It could be Discord. You know what I mean? You could have a pop-in Discord server, and then that's the funnel. Like, so maybe it's not just getting people to come to from your TikTok to your Kick or your Twitch or your YouTube. It's getting people to go to your Discord and joining your Discord, and then there's that notification that goes live when they go live. And then the biggest thing, that's just kind of like practical advice when it comes to like clip farming and like understanding. But the biggest thing I would say is talking all of the time, talking like every second of the stream. And I've heard it from so many people, man. So many people are like, oh man, it's so hard to, I'll tell you an example. So I was wearing my Kick shirt and I was at Target the other day, and I went to they had a Starbucks at the Target, and the barista was like, oh, Kick, do you watch Kick? And I was like, yeah, I stream there. And he's like, yeah, I'm more of a Twitch guy. And we were just kind of talking. He's like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm partnered on Kick. And he's like, yeah, my biggest problem, man, is like, it's like, it's so hard to like, stay engaged when there's like nobody watching. And I'm like, well, I'm like, that right there is the biggest trap that you're going to fall into as a new creator, because nobody's going to watch you as a new creator. You have to make your show engaging from the very jump. You have to be talking all the time. You have to be engaging all the time. You have to be making up conversation all the time. You have to be kind of talking, riffing, role playing. You have to put on a lot of hats, especially at the beginning. I think as you grow, you can get a little bit more lenient, but again, you'll risk the stagnation of it. I think you need to always constantly be pushing an entertaining show and have a concise show. Have show notes. Show notes is like super important, man. You shouldn't be going live at all without having any sort of plan of what you're going to be talking about, what you're going to be doing. That's like super important. I think, again, as time goes on, you may be able to kind of get away with doing less of that. As I've like figured out the format of the show. I kind of know like where I'm going to go after what, but I still kind of have things like I'm always writing things in my notepad of just like ideas that pop into my head. You know what I mean? Like I had the idea of like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and John Cena going out to brunch. I wrote that in my notepad. Why did I write that in my notepad? I don't know. But it was really funny. It was funny to me, the concept, just thinking of John Cena and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson going and getting brunch. You know what I mean? And like sitting there, this like hoity-toity brunch spot, and like the waitress comes up and be like, "Do you guys need anything else?" You know what I mean? And they're just sitting there eating turkey bacon because they don't eat regular bacon because they're like these super fit people. I just thought, I don't know. I thought it was funny, man. I thought it was funny.
It's awesome. And what you just did there is a very underrated thing that you just did there. And I kind of want to explain this to some of the people who haven't seen that. Not only did you do step one, which is generate a topic of something of interest, you indulged on that topic of interest too. You evolved that topic of interest and you made it genuinely an enjoyable thing to listen to just as an idea. And as that's literally in a nutshell, the 4 steps of creation that you just witnessed within the past 10 seconds. And it's something that a lot of people struggle with, but that's something that as a creator, you need to learn and develop and harness.
I think too, like, using your real life, like you don't have to go into details about things, but I think everybody, especially if you work a job, you kind of have like this world that you live in that you can kind of bring the people into, and you can kind of explain it in a way that like makes sense, right? So like for an example, right? So recently we had an issue where like my neighbor had their grandma like come over and hang out, right? And they parked in front of my house, and it became like this 20-minute conversation of like, where I was parking, and maybe they should have parked there, and like what the whole deal was with the parking. And, like, am I the asshole for thinking that like I deserve to park in front of my house? You know what I mean? And all of that. And that became like a whole 20-minute conversation. And then it indulged more into like, oh, well, the cops came 2 days earlier and they were parked in front of my house. So that was 2 days in a row that I lost parking in front of my house. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things in like people's lives that like You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, I'm talking shit about this person or whatever, but like you can use that for comedic effect. That's what comedians do, man. They get these interactions and they like think about them and they add them to the story in a sense, you know?
Well, 100%, because like you touch on that too, because like what comedians do is they indulge on a point, and then when they find that hook, they exploit that hook. And as content creators, even in our own content as an individual basis, we have to find that hook, exploit that hook, and evolve that hook to keep people hooked. And it's really interesting to think about in some of the stories that you were just telling there. And as a newer budding content creator, our goal is to create engaging content, whatever that content is. And you talk about the zero viewer aspect, or speaking to no viewers. But learning how to have a conversation with yourself is going to bring more people in. It's going to make things more inviting. It's going to make things more awesome, especially as a newer content creator. And the longer you do that, the more people will come in and hang out.
Yeah, and I think that comes a lot back to the list, like scrolling with intent kind of thing that I was saying about like watching people. But like a comedian like I used to watch a lot, right, was the Chris D'Elia. I used to listen to the Chris D'Elia podcast like all the time. Congratulations pod. And, you know, it's just him talking. And I think understanding that, treating it more like a podcast, less like a live stream, I think is like really important. Man, oh dude, there was something I wanted to say and I totally forgot what it was, man.
I was going to say, I have that effect on people and I am so sorry. But
fuck, man. It was really good.
It'll come back. It always does. Because also on the note-taking on the note-taking concept too, I use the notes on my phone. If I think of something funny, I'm going to write it down. If I think of something awesome that I want to do in COD, I write it down. If I think of something awesome that I want to do in like any type of video game, because I'm more of a gamer, but I evolved into a podcaster. Like I'll listen to people talk like day in the life things. Like I'm going to a coffee shop, and then I had somebody get mad about like the hornets that were in their house, and someone was like, well, why don't you just do the gasoline trick? And he's like, well, why did that gasoline spills on me and the sun lights me on fire?
Gasoline trick.
Yeah, well, where you take like gasoline and you throw it in like a bucket and then you put it over the hornet's nest so
you light it on fire and you accidentally burn your house down.
Well, I mean, that's one way to do it, but the smell of gasoline will literally capture them if you put it over the hornet's nest, and then they'll just die into the gasoline from the but anyways, we're not talking about killing things. We love life forms, of all life forms, including animated life forms, but it's like
that's something that people don't understand, dude, is cartoon logic.
Right.
When you kill somebody in a cartoon, they don't actually die. They just come back the next episode.
Right. It's literally they will always come back if you're doing it in that. And like I think that people should be watching more cartoons, genuinely, because some of the base forms of content creation come from Bugs Bunny. And
I was literally watching old Bugs Bunny clips the other day, man.
Dude, it's so
good. They are very good.
Like the subtle nuances that they put into their stuff, like to get you hooked. Like, for example, Bugs Bunny dancing on Elmer Fudd's head.
I remember what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And I think it actually ties back to Bugs Bunny, right?
For sure.
So I saw an XQC clip like a while ago, and he was talking about like the streamer academy when Kai Cenat was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned one of the most important things that a streamer can do is learn how to stall. And I thought about that, and I was like, what does that mean? Like, learn how to stall. And I've understood exactly what it means. It was how long can you push something in particular? How long can you hold something out? How long can you like bring hype to something before you actually go and do that? And I think like TikTok lives, like you've seen the TikTok lives of maybe you've seen them of like a guy, some Asian guy, and he's got a balloon over his head, and like certain amount of gifts like add water to the balloon or something like that.
Yeah.
And eventually it pops and things like that. That's kind of like the idea of stalling, right? You need to learn how to communicate your stalling through that. And I think like even going back to Bugs Bunny, what you were talking about, a lot of that stuff is the idea of stalling, where you're like, you've got the setup, right? Roadrunner is going to, he's trying to eat Bugs Bunny, right? So he builds a giant magnet, and the giant magnet, like, Bugs Bunny lifts up the mailbox and he sends it through, and Roadrunner like misses the magnet, right? But then he gets hit by the mailbox. And then it's like, okay, you hit the first joke on that, right? So how can we keep that going? So then eventually, Bugs Bunny starts sending other stuff, but then Bugs Bunny notices, oh shit, there's a bunch of stuff coming from the right side of me, and then it's like pulling everything in to the magnet, you know what I mean? To the point where eventually, like, he's pulling, like, the giant magnet is pulling everything into the Roadrunner. And then it gets to the point to where eventually the punchline is the giant plane comes in, and it goes and it kabooms and it explodes on the Roadrunner. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like a good example of like how to push your stream narrative to make it longer.
Absolutely. And that goes into a bunch of different forms of content. It's how can you overkill a point to still draw that point in, to make it fun, to make it enjoyable for the guest every time. Like one of my, I forget which streamer it was. I want to say it was Crusader, right? But there was a punchline that happened in a video game. Actually, hold on. No, it wasn't Cruz. Who was it? Because what they did, it was somebody I had previously on my podcast. It was Erect Dictator. So what she did is, she had a little pop-up that was redeemable by chat where it's like dodge, right? So she was trying to dodge something in like New World and chat, and she got hit, and then somebody redeemed dodge. And so then you see Piccolo coming up and he's like, dodge! And then as things continued, as the time continued, chat kept redeeming it more and more every time she got hit. And then it evolved even beyond just like the New World aspect. Like she gets killed by something in Minecraft and then someone redeems dodge, and like it's something that just like continues, and like even beyond just like that stream, and it turns into an inside joke, and then that inside joke continues, and it's a different style of stalling of what you're trying to say. And it's such an important aspect because, dude, that stuff is so amazing, and then you feel like you're part of something, and then you want to re-engage, and it's like your worms guy.
You see that with like other streamers too, like big streamers, like I don't know if you know like Northern Lion, but he's got like a very tight-knit community that, you know, they say things like caught +2, you know, things like that, like inside jokes that like kind of become like part of the stream and
6-7
bits in themselves.
Skibbity toilet. You know?
Yeah. I don't think those are parts of his streams.
No, I know they're not part of his streams, but I mean, like, just kind of stuff that adds, like, the inside joke thing in general. But, dude, you bring an amazing point. Like, you got to learn how to stall as a creator. You got to learn how to elongate it.
One of the things, too, because I feel like we've kind of devolved away from the question you asked, which was, like, what would I say to, like, new creators? The last thing I want to say is don't rely on video games to be your content. Ultimately it needs to be you. That's the content. Video games are, again, like just like VTubing, it's the vessel, it's the vehicle that you're using to get to the content. But I would say focus more on like creating a show, a production, things that are unique, different than creating a a stream based around you playing World of Warcraft. And I know that's easy for me to say because I like streaming World of Warcraft, but I think, I at least have some people that will tune in to watch me play that. Whereas like if you're nobody and nobody knows you, then nobody's going to watch you play that. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree. And like going into kind of like wrapping things up is like, most of all in content, no matter what you do, no matter what route you take, no matter what you find funny, remember to just be yourself. Be yourself and have fun. And everything else will fall into place when it's time. Don't rush into things. Don't let yourself rush into making certain content. If you don't feel like posting, don't post. You will figure it out. It will come when it's time. Just have fun, be you, and all of the things will fall into place when the time is right.
I would the thing I would say is, if you're very like determined on doing this and you want to be the kind of person that is like you're posting every day and stuff like that, figure out a system that works for you.
Yes.
How you can easily make the content and post it and things like that. I think like, you know, like personally for me, like I have the opportunity where sometimes at work I can like sit down and like make stuff, and that's cool. And then I can use that and I can post that. And, you know, but like sometimes I have to sit there on the computer like late at night before I go to bed and like pump out a video and get that done for shorts and things like that. I'm not much of a long form editor, but I can pump out shorts pretty quickly because I've developed like a system and a style that's really easy for me to work in. So develop your style, develop what you're able to do. Get a good video editing program that works for you, that you're able to work with. And yeah, just figure out a system. I think time management is like the killer. You know what I mean? Like everybody works, everybody has a job, all of that. Figure out a way to use your time to your advantage. Going back to my buddy Slim Chungus Gaming, he's been like making a lot of guides lately. He was doing Schedule 1 guides, and now he's doing like Borderlands guides because he's playing Borderlands. Mm-hmm. And he makes those on his lunch break. He pulls out his phone, he does the TikTok green screen, and he's doing like good numbers on that stuff. You know what I mean? So I think just like figuring out the way to do it is very important.
Yes. And it's all your own journey. It's all part of your journey. You'll figure it out. Get yourself a schedule, put things into place, and everything will work out when the time is right. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this episode today of the PSP Podcast. And a huge shout out today to ChefBugGrub for coming on through, sharing his streaming journey, dropping some laughs, talking about technology, talking about like all the amazing things in regards to just being a content creator. And yes, daddy. And like, remember that the PSP Podcast.
Don't encourage him, dude.
The PSP Podcast, our goal here is to inspire aspiring creators. And we just want to let you guys see different avenues of the world of content in this vast world of content. And I'm your host, Percussive173. If you guys are not following ChefBugGrub, go click on his link in your title and go check out his content, and definitely go check out his pitch kick. And keep smiling, keep creating, keep spreading positivity. And everybody, I will catch you next time.